So, it's been a while, guys. How have you been? Tell me all about your day. I feel like it's been forever since I've done this type of content, but let me tell you, like an old woman at your local bar, I'm all filled up and ready for more of you guys. I said a long time ago that I'd do a video on Left 4 Dead 2, and would you look at that? Happy birthday to that cliffhanger. And as cliche as I know it was to see it to be continued at the end of the video, this video took quite a while to create and write up. I mean, hell, look at my life before I was locked up in this dingy ass shed. But regardless, Left 4 Dead has always been a staple of my childhood gaming experience, and I fully intend to grab this game by its metaphorical balls and twist it into a video for you guys today. So without further delaying this experience, let's jump right into it. Strap in, grab a snack, grab a drink, because we're going to be talking about Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2's development started very humble. A simple premise: make an update for Left 4 Dead 1 that fixed all the bugs and added new content. But there was kind of a divide in the development team. You see, there was one side that just didn't want to work on the game, and that was actually a majority of people in Valve. They, well, just weren't really interested on working on this game. Left 4 Dead 1 was a very limited game when it came to memory and all these other things in the engine. You see, Left 4 Dead 1 was made pretty fast, so fast in fact that most developers at Valve didn't want to iron out the bugs that were from the finished product. This was said by the head writer at the time, Chet Vlasic. So, good old Chet took it upon himself and the other developers to talk it over and see what they wanted to do with this idea that they were cooking up. So they made a mission statement after they finally decided what they wanted to do. They wanted to make another game. They actually wanted to make a new title from this, but it was super secretive to the public, with Microsoft even naming the project Carnation in their earnings reports to avoid the public getting an idea of what is to come before its official announcement. The game's development was very, very secretive in 2009 and 2008, with only people in Valve knowing what's really going on. Gee, a game that didn't get leaked? Wow. Imagine if we had that luxury nowadays. God. The general idea and scope was laid out to the team, and the vision was clear. Make a game that explores the lore laid out by the previous game and expand on it further, with new locations, characters, and infected. Tons of ideas were thrown around the office, with many not landing as expected, and some being developed and tested, with not many making it past very basic testing and builds at Valve. Whether it be the survivors or the infected, they all put their creative minds to the test and threw in their ideas. Some notable ones include the new special infected, which we'll discuss later. Another notable development between the two games is the zombie models. See, the development team were not impressed with how the common infected physics were in Left 4 Dead 1. The zombie variation was weak, and just everything was off about them. There wasn't really a lot of character to them. They all kind of looked the same. So they took this general complaint, and while not being held back by the memory limits of Left 4 Dead 1, they developed a much more in-depth common infected system that made each one unique and more lifelike. This also applied to the blood and gore department of the zombies. This was a massive improvement for the game and its details at the time. They also went all out on the other physics aspects of the game, such as the water physics, which would later be used in games like Portal 2 and paved the way for Valve to make much more detailed environments. This was a massive improvement compared to the last game. This game was shaping up to be a very, very, very enhanced edition of Left 4 Dead 1. But there was still something that we didn't know. When are we gonna see it? I mean, it's 2009 and they're not saying much. I mean, Valve is still running Steam and all that. I don't know what they're doing nowadays, but after much wait, it was finally unveiled by Valve on June 1st, 2009 at E3 to very good reception. This time set in the South and featuring a much more diverse character cast, and they looked way more interesting than the last one. They had a lot more character, a lot more diversity in the cast, but it was unveiled in E3 featuring a full-length trailer and playable demo on the floor. It was set to come out that year on November 17th, 2009, and so began the marketing campaign for this game. And while it was crazy, it was pretty tame compared to Left 4 Dead 1's marketing. Just your basic marketing at first, trailers, gameplay footage, cosplaying, etc., but the best bonus of all was the fabled pre-order bonus. Oh boy, let's see what we get as a pre-order bonus for this game. Wow! 2 weapons and skins for other Valve games. Oh, and the demo with 2 levels. Yeah, pretty good, honestly. And you could say that these are all more than most games gave you back in the day as a pre-order bonus. I mean, that's just the truth. Some of them, at least. I'm looking at you, World at War pre-order bonus. What do you mean I get a fucking FG42? I don't want that shit. The game finally released that November to very positive feedback. People went nuts for this game, at least reviewers did. And it was way more packed content-wise compared to the other game, and featured full remakes of the Left 4 Dead 1 campaigns in its later lifespan. It also featured 2 DLC campaigns, which we'll talk about later in this video. But there's something else something much more, well, bad that happened with this game. It was not shy when it came to the controversies. There was a lot of controversies for Left 4 Dead 2, with multiple countries banning the game, censoring it. And well, let's just talk more about it here. You see, the weekend following the game's announcement at E3, some Left 4 Dead players called for a boycott of Left 4 Dead 2. In addition to a lack of further Left 4 Dead content, they were concerned with the characters, visuals, and music shown in the E3 demonstration video, feeling these were inappropriate to the first game's aesthetics, and that the release of the sequel was so soon after the first game would fracture the community. In response to these complaints, Valve marketer Doug Lombardi stated that announcement of Left 4 Dead 2 at E3 should not be taken to indicate Valve would no longer support the first game. He asked the community to trust them a little bit, and told them that while their team was eager to get more material to the players of Left 4 Dead 1, they determined a sequel would be the best option for several reasons. The demand for new campaigns, enemies, and weapons could not be met as simple DLC for Left 4 Dead 1 due to its limitations. Both Folizik and Tom Leonard, the project lead, found that too much of the content relied on each other, making it very difficult to release incremental patches in the same style as Team Fortress 2 at the time. The development team liked the idea of rolling up content into a sequel to be released a year after Left 4 Dead's release. Folizik stated that Newell was skeptical at the idea when the team brought the sequel forward, but still allowed the project to go through. In September 2009, Valve flew two of the boycott's group's most prominent members to Valve in order to playtest the new game. The two felt that the sequel was well done. This event, through a series of correspondences made in jest, shortly led to Valve Gabe Newell and designer Eric Johnson flying to Australia to visit Joe W.A., a Left 4 Dead modder. Newell jokingly reported that Valve was boycotting Joe's new mod for the game when Joe asked when he would be flown down to Valve in the same manner as Left 4 Dead 2 boycotters, but whimsically offered that if Joe was to pay to fly him to the country, he would take a look at it. Joe was able to raise the required funds, around $3,000 US at the time, through donations through his website. Though ultimately Newell paid for the trip himself, with Joe's collected donations going to the Child's Play charity. And then on October 14, 2009, the initiators of the boycott group announced that they had ended their boycott and were shutting down the 40,000 plus group because Valve was retaining their promise of additional content and fixes for Left 4 Dead 1, and such as the recent release of the Crash Course campaign at the time. These gamers also believe that the group itself, losing purpose, was now being used just to badmouth Valve. In a video interview posted in October 29, 2009, Gabe Newell said, "For people who joined the boycott on Steam, they're actually pre-ordering the product at a higher rate than Left 4 Dead 1 owners who weren't in the boycott." We're not done with the controversies quite yet, though. Like I said, a few countries censored and changed the game as a whole for, well, European markets. For example, Valve was forced to alter its original cover for the art by the ESRB in Europe. The original image depicted the series' hand with its little finger, ring finger, and thumb torn off. It was deemed too explicit at the time, and to appease the ESRB, Valve changed the image so that the fingers were merely bent back instead. But the company was still able to include the torn off thumb in all regions except for Japan and Germany, where it had to be censored. The cover was further changed for the release in the UK, as a two-finger sign with the back hand faced toward the viewer is considered an insult in the UK. I'm just saying, was this really necessary? And then there is one more dark controversy: racism. See, Willie Jefferson of the Houston Chronicle, after seeing initial promotion material for the game, considered that the several infected appear to be African Americans, implying a racist approach to the game, and also noted setting the game in a city that was a scene of a dead, bloated body floating by some years after the impact of Hurricane Katrina was a bad call. A writer for Kotaku considered that Jefferson seems to me to be picking a fight where no one exists. Others noted that the appearance of African Americans infected simply reflected the racial diversity of New Orleans. And, well, that's pretty much it for development, marketing, and controversies. So let's just move on to the story and characters, because let me tell you, the story and characters is pretty interesting. Left 4 Dead 2's story is a lot similar to the first game. Our titular survivors must work together to make it to the military or really anywhere that is safe. Taking place during the events of Left 4 Dead 1, our characters find themselves in the deep south in Savannah, Georgia. That is about as close as I ever want to get to Florida and I mean that. While being similar story-wise, there is a clear difference with our characters' mannerisms, and the fact that they don't know each other for the first time in the series. Which segues us into our main cast of 4 characters, same amount as the first game and same genders, 3 male and 1 female. But these are way more detailed and unique personality-wise. Starting off with survivors is the fan favorite Ellis. Ellis is by far the most memed on character in Left 4 Dead, being the standard redneck mechanic that everyone at least somewhat knows. Whether it be him talking about his buddy Keith or annoying the shit out of the other survivors with his stories, Ellis is always shown to be reliable while also having a little bit of fun along the way. No matter how inbred he might be, he's still our lovely trucker boy. Originally, Ellis was envisioned to be more southern with a thicker Cajun accent later seen in the campaigns during the swamp portion of the game. Next on our character list is Nick, a cunning, charming, and abrasive con man. Nick is a gambler and an asshole, but still has a layer of charm that makes him funny while also being pessimistic. He constantly picks fights with the other survivors, but always maintains a strong relationship with them until the very end. Not much is known about his profession before the apocalypse other than that, but it's very clear that with some dialogue in the game that in his past includes very shady dealings and even shadier motives. Originally, the development team was going to have Nick as an escaped convict who stole a suit after breaking out of prison. This could be what he is technically, but I mean, we really don't know for sure, but at least they had the idea at some point. Next, and possibly everyone's favorite one-man cheeseburger apocalypse, is Coach. Coach is by far the most recognizable character when it comes to this game. I'm sure you've seen him sometimes in source filmmaker animations or really anything that's just meme related. Coach is a former high school football coach that for some reason, I don't know why it's a fact in the game, but he has a bad knee. While Coach is a very clear passer, some things not known about him, like his age or his first name, we'll just never know. What we do know is that Coach is the headstrong, respectful, and almost leader-like member of the group, puts the group's safety above himself. Overall, a good and solid character reminiscent of Lewis from the first game. Only change that I could find about him in development was that he originally was supposed to have a football helmet on. Last and certainly not least is Rochelle. Rochelle is actually the most important member of the group at the time of meeting them on the rooftop. Being a reporter that was reporting from the time the green flu epidemic began and working with CETA to report the outbreak, Rochelle is a no-nonsense type of character with people like Nick, while showing a soft side to Ellis and a more friendly, chattier side with Coach. Being the only woman of the group, Ellis, a low-key chudcell gooner on Reddit, attempts to woo her with promises that he has 14,000 Reddit karma. Rochelle, being the person she is, just humors Ellis. Ellis then went on to be a 4chan neo-Nazi and die after the game. Originally, Rochelle was envisioned to be a no-nonsense DMV employee instead of the reporter she is today. And that's pretty much it for this section of the video. We know who our cast of characters are and we know what their motives are. Before we get into the gameplay section, I have some explaining to do for those who haven't watched the first Left 4 Dead video. I'll be rating and discussing each campaign on a scale, and well, on a scale of 1 to 5. These will only be the main campaigns exclusive to Left 4 Dead 2, however. No Left 4 Dead 1 remakes, because, well, they're the exact same as the Left 4 Dead 1 counterparts, but with Left 4 Dead 2 guns, infected, and so on and so forth. This is where the patented no meter comes back, so sit back, and let's get back into it with our first campaign, Dead Center. Starting off our campaign list is Dead Center, possibly the most played campaign in Left 4 Dead 2, being a popular versus map and an iconic moment to the game, being its first campaign. Our story begins with our characters meeting up on the rooftop of a hotel known as the Savannah Hotel, being set in Savannah, Georgia. At first, our characters bicker and argue about missing the chopper, not knowing each other, just having one common complaint, that choppers don't come back when you yell at them. So our survivors, not knowing what awaits them, go downstairs, armed to potential dangers, and they learn firsthand, I don't know how they didn't know this beforehand, by the way, they literally made it through and they're aware of the green flu, that the apocalypse is here, and that their objective is they have to make it to Liberty Mall across town to get to an evac site, being, well, in the mall. Zombies infest the burning building, and our survivors note that the only remaining outpost that CETA occupies at this moment is New Orleans, due to a map in one of the previous rooms. So our crew has a goal, and makes their way down to the hotel through stairways before making it to an elevator. As they're in the elevator, they then introduce themselves while waiting for the elevator to make it to the bottom floor, and to be expected, they're all very shaken up by the events unfolding around them. The elevator fills up with smoke and they must run through the building, first floor of the hotel, and get to the safe room. Chaos is unfolding around them and they run out. The second level takes place on the streets of Savannah, where a coach says that there is a gun store nearby and that they should arm up before they hit the evac station at the mall to try to get out of the city, obviously. A solid idea by our cheeseburger enjoying friend, so the gang makes their way through the streets to the gun store, all the while running by abandoned CETA stations and zombified hazmat zombies. Each campaign in this game has a unique uncommon infected that can drastically affect the flow of the levels. Not in a bad way, just an added challenge. And the unique one for this level is the CETA zombie, being immune to fire and, well, sometimes carrying boomer bile jars. A new throwable distraction item, and may I add, one of the best ones. After they make it to the gun store, we meet our first non-playable character, Whitaker. Whitaker is a paranoid and ruthless gun store owner who did not make it to the evac station. Instead, he barricaded himself on the roof. He tells the crew that he'll blow up the tanker blocking the mall if they get him cola nearby in the grocery store. Obviously, we can't go around the damn thing, so we get him the cola, triggering a panic event. After we get him the cola, he blows up the way to the mall, which has the safe room inside of it. The third level is the mall itself. This is by far my favorite zombie location ever. Anything zombie related, right? And let me explain why. Anything can decay in social environments. Yes, a very simple concept, but this is done really well in Left 4 Dead 2. The mall is a dark and decrepit area, with mannequins being left behind and bodies littering the floor. The mall is looted, and it only lays quietly, having small occasional sounds from the building collapsing and settling, or the drone of the infected roaming its once busy halls and shops. It's quiet. Too quiet. And that's what's scary and yet fascinating. Just seeing an area normally bustling and just busy, just vacant now and dead, really sets the tone for how the apocalypse affected everyone in the world of Left 4 Dead 2. As our characters make it through the mall, they find the CETA station abandoned and the agents slaughtered. A tragic sight, but they're stuck in the mall now, and they need to make it out. But they need a plan first. And that segues us into our first finale, and our, well, finale for Dead Center, the Atrium. In the safe room beforehand, our survivors make note of their surroundings, including a poster of a stock car racer named Jimmy Gibbs Jr., a popular figure in the area along with the stock car being the mall for itself an event. They get the idea to fuel it up with gas cans around the mall and drive it to New Orleans. A solid plan, I'll admit. And the finale, instead of it being a holdout level like every single one Left 4 Dead 1, involves you running into areas to get 13 gas cans to fuel up the car. A very fun and hectic finale that starts this game on a high note for how innovative they got for the sequel. They fuel up the car and drive out of the mall. Badass ending to such a great campaign. Starting off our rankings, I'm going to give Dead Center a solid 4 out of 5 on the gnome meter. It's a great introduction to the characters and the world that the game will pave out later on in its campaigns. It starts well with the objective and shows everything off new to the game in this campaign alone. Overall, I get why people love this campaign. The layout of the levels, great. The intro to the level, great. Just having the sun glare in your eyes. All the new additions that just perfectly complement this level. It is great. Let's get to the next campaign though, chronologically at least, and that's the passing. Next on the campaign list is the Passing. Passing is, well, it's one of my least favorite campaigns in the entire game. I'm going to be real with you here. This is not a very good one. It's not really that much I could talk about, so let's just get into it. The Passing was released as the first DLC for Left 4 Dead 2. It features 2, yes, count them, 2 new weapons. The golf club and the M60. 2 very decent weapons, with the M60 being as powerful as a grenade launcher, but good for clearing out giant hordes and taking down tanks. And the golf club just being, well, the golf club. Our story begins right after the events of Dead Center, with our characters being stuck at a bridge that is raised up by the original Left 4 Dead 1 cast, which is pretty cool to see them again. It takes place where the sacrifice took place, with Bill dying and the characters being stuck and stranded in this port town. The Left 4 Dead 1 characters tell our characters that they cannot raise or lower the bridge because one of their men died and they don't want to risk it, with Lewis being injured as well. So our characters make their way around to the other side of the bridge to actually get to the generators to lower it. The overall campaign takes you through a few red light districts, a few apartments, and even a wedding at some point, with a unique witch model being at the, well, the marriage place, the wedding. It's really cool. I mean, I will admit, Seeing the town empty and desolate and having no life, with also going through sewers that are just dark and dank, it definitely pulls off the creepy factor pretty well. But overall, this campaign is very short, and I don't see the point of actually playing it. It's meant to just be kind of like a bridge between the two campaigns, and I get it, I really do, but I just don't like this one. So the campaign finale is that we have to power up generators similar to the sacrifice. We have to power up 13 cans to lower the bridge. I mean, sure, the survivors from Left 4 Dead 1 help you out, and they can even kill special infected, but this campaign is kind of a snoozer. But after we lower it, we drive off into the next campaign, Dark Carnival. But the passing is actually going to get a pretty low rating here. We're going to give it a 2 on the gnome meter. Yes, I know that's pretty harsh, but a 2 is fair in my opinion. This is meant to be a very small DLC that just doesn't have that much content, and it really shows. It's just not that enjoyable, sadly. But that's pretty much it for the passing. Let's move on to a very decent campaign, Dark Carnival. Next up, and let me tell you, a huge improvement on our list of campaigns is fan favorite Dark Carnival. Dark Carnival is what everyone remembers from this game due to its atmosphere and recognizable location. It's a carnival, amusement park, whatever you want to call it. I call it the Wacky Fent Factory, but do what you will. Taking place right after the passing, Dark Carnival starts off with our crew being stuck behind a pileup on the highway. Considering stock cars cannot drive over normal cars very well, at least, our crew decides to ditch the car and go on foot, commenting on how they hope the survivors made it out safely. I don't think they did due to the infected here, but hey, happy thoughts lead to happy times, am I right? While walking down the length of the highway, they see lights in the distance from a place called Whispering Oaks Amusement Park, and Coach comments that he's been there as a kid, showing some familiarity with the group. While they don't know where to go, they make their way to the amusement park through a dark, dingy motel shrouded by darkness and a depressing detail hidden inside. The place is vacant, and the only thing that remains is a giant swimming pool once filled with water, you know, like a swimming pool, is now only filled with the burnt bodies of the infected that were rapidly filling the area. This is an important detail for the last campaign of the game, so I want you to remember this, okay? Okay? Yep, okay. Our characters then make their way down a hill and to the amusement park itself, where the safe room is. Now is the point where everyone that played this game at any point will be like, oh hell yeah, enter level 2, the fairgrounds. In the safe house, Coach and Ellis make note of a poster in the safe house about a band called the Midnight Riders, a metal band known for their badass demeanor and massive pyrotechnics display, with whole cities having to be shut down if there's a wind. Imagine having to shut down a concert if there was wind because you were going to catch the town on fire. Please play at Portland. Please, please, please play at Portland. So anyway, this in all regards is my favorite campaign to play with friends due to the shit you can do. You can play the amusement park game. Yes, there are games you can play in the amusement park, the first one being the most important as it's a shooting gallery that when you win, you can win a prize from. Noam Chomsky, which if you bring to the end, you get an achievement. A nice little challenge that adds little things that just make the campaign sing to returning players. Anyway, the uncommon infected is your average Nintendo fan in 2025 in the form of a clown zombie. The clown zombie is interesting, as when it runs, it squeaks its shoe, attracting more zombies around it. Think of it as a mini boomer. You can also honk its nose by shoving it, otherwise known as the Intrusive Thoughts 1, because I've always wanted to do that. I've never met a clown in real life, but I've always wanted to honk their nose. Anyway, after you make your way through the amusement park and through Kittyland, you find yourself at a merry-go-round, and you have to activate it to make it to the safe house. This triggers a panic event, and you have to run into the Tunnel of Love where the safe room is. Enter the Tunnel of Love. The lighting in here makes it hard for you to see the infected and makes it for your friends to be down bad for you, but you tough it out and you make your way through the labyrinth. It's your standard affair level design, vents, tunnels, etc, etc. Not much to talk about in the level itself when it comes to the tunnels, but as soon as you get out of the tunnels, you get hit with the escape vehicle for the level. A chopper. See, for some reason, a guy just likes to hover around the park looking for survivors, and you gotta somehow signal him to come and save you. But there is one giant obstacle in your way, the main attraction of the Whispering Oaks amusement park, the Screaming Oak, a wooden roller coaster that, in the coolest panic event ever, may I add, you must run alongside the track of the coaster to make it to the switch to turn it off, where the safe room is. Now that right there is cool level design. Thank God there's not a loop on this shit. Otherwise, we would just be dead. Level 4 takes place on the other side of the park itself with the most amount of minigames that the player can use by far, with a strength tester and a whack-a-mole minigame. This level takes place in the barns? What kind of amusement park has barns in it? Anyway, this level is short. Pretty much just make your way to the front of the stadium and find a way to signal the chopper inside of the stadium. There is the hardest panic event in the entire game, with you having to open up the front gates and run to the safe room, all the while being swarmed by infected. This can be a hectic situation and always ends up with me going down or two in my experience. And now, the finale, the concert. In the safe room, our characters brainstorm on how to signal the chopper, with one of our characters getting the ingenious idea of signaling the chopper with the Midnight Riders light show. That sounded like a good idea. Zombies possibly couldn't activate it, so let's just go with that. And here we go. This is the favorite finale of me in the game. I love this finale. The area is big, defendable, and you have plenty of explosives to work with on stage. The finale involves you activating a recording for the band and the set list they had planned for that night. Yikes, that is kind of funny, actually. So the entire time you play the finale, you get to hear rock music, and it just gives off the most badass aura. It's fucking crazy. And once you reach the end, the fireworks shoot off, attracting the fireworks, and the campaign ends off on a rocking note. Okay, anyway, Dark Carnival's a banger of a campaign, and that's why I'm giving it the first 5 out of 5 on the gnome meter. Everything in this campaign hits. The setting, the infected, the finale, so good. But we still have 4 campaigns, so let's just jump right into the next campaign and see what kind of swampy messes await us in Swamp Fever. Oh, Swamp Fever, how I really want to like you, but you're just not interesting to play for me and to be entertained at the same time. See, Swamp Fever is by far the least played original launch campaign. It is generally forgotten in my experience, and I don't see anybody play this on Versus or any other game mode, and I kind of see why. Our campaign begins right after the events of Dark Carnival, where a crew crash lands, finding out the pilot is infected mid-flight, but our survivors find themselves in a train car with a gas station ahead and a tarp strung on the fence that reads, "No CETA, no military, stay out." Our survivors decide to go on foot through the country to a ferry. The scene of this town oozes personality. The dingy shacks, the swamp buzzing with insects, and the charger strung up dead as a sign of fear and intimidation is just a compliment this level as a whole. After our survivors cross the river through use of a ferry, they make their way through more and more swamp. Yeah, this is going to be a little tradition here. You better be ready. I'm going to be saying the word swamp a lot. The campaign starts to lose steam here, but we still have 3 more levels to go, so let's just continue. Level 2 takes place in, well, god damn it, more swamp. This campaign is kind of bland location-wise from my experience. It's just a lot of swamp huts and trailer trash homes. The unique common infected isn't even that cool here, as it's the Mudman. The Mudman will run on all 4s towards the player and splash mud on the player's face, obstructing their view. Not very threatening or life-changing, but it makes sense with the environment that they're in at the very least. In this level, the only notable things are the goal of the crew, which is to reach the survivors of a village known as Gator Village that are said to be held up in town on the other side of the swamp. And the coolest part of this level is by far the downed plane. The downed plane is the panic event for this level, and it triggers, well, panic event when you open the emergency door. This is pretty fucking cool as a set piece, I will admit. But beyond that, it's just more fucking swamp! Alright, it's just more swamp. And it's up until the village itself. It's just swamp, 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 swamp. What is this, a fucking locker room in your high school? Why is there so much swamp? Level 3 takes place in the Gator Village itself, with all the inhabitants dead. Along the way, the survivors make note of the makeshift architecture that they have created here and how they heard animals can spread the green flu. A pretty decent story detail for a snooze fest of a campaign. I swear, this is where I started to lose a little bit of steam myself. I did not want to play the rest of this, but I did. After a crew triggers the loudest and squeakiest board in the state of Louisiana, it triggers a panic event forcing our survivors to run out of the safe room into the final level of the campaign, which is actually a pretty cool location, I will admit, and is the finale of Swamp Fever. It takes place in the plantation. I should have said that first, but I didn't. Ignore that. And it's situated on the outskirts of the swamp. Our characters read that there were survivors meeting up there, so their first thought is to go inside and see if they can escape. At first, they find the house stocked with supplies and just very vacant, empty, and well, there's a ton of zombies here. I don't think those survivors made it. I really don't. But that's all that remains in such a busy home at one point. Busy with what kind of stuff? I'll let you figure that out. It's a plantation house, and I don't think I want to be here anymore. They go to the front of the house to a gate with a radio. A man responds, and this is where Virgil comes in, a friendly Cajun boat captain who used to give tours around the swamp before the apocalypse. He offers to pick up the crew, and the gang must hold out. After the standard affair of holding out, he blows open the gate and picks up the crew, ending the campaign as a whole. You have to jump onto his boat while getting chased by zombies. It's a pretty fun finale, but this is going to be crazy here to some people. But Swamp Fever is going to sadly get our first 1 out of 5 on the gnome meter. It's just a visually and gameplay slogfest of just nothing. I mean, there isn't much that sets this campaign apart from a later one that I'll be sure just to be as much of a dickhead to. In the meantime, let's move on to overall my favorite campaign in Left 4 Dead history, Hard Rain. Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to my favorite campaign in Left 4 Dead history. Yes, Hard Rain is not generally liked by a lot of people. At least I don't think it is. I've read a lot of things, people complaining about the rain, the uncommon infected, but I love this campaign for so many reasons, okay? And my first and foremost reason is just, well, you may have guessed this by the name, rain. You see, nature is an unstoppable force. You think you can survive it? I don't think you can, but you know what? You can try. It is something that I don't think a lot of characters in zombie games ever experience. And I know I said that in a weird way, but hear me out when I say this. They don't touch on it very much because the zombies are the main focus, which is fair, but let me tell you, I'd be a hell of a lot more scared of nature than zombies. Sure, both of them can kill you pretty slowly, but damn, if the two are together, that's like a bomb-ass thing, all right? That's like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich of a fucking zombie experience. So, let's just get into it. Hard Rain takes place right after the events of Swamp Fever, with our character Virgil dropping off our heroes. I'm gonna call them heroes because, you know what, fuck it, I gotta give them good names, you know? I gotta make them look good, I gotta gas them up. Off to a town called Ducatel in Mississippi to get gas for his boat. You see, this is supposed to be a little one and done kind of thing, with a gas station literally being right across the street. All they gotta do is just use the flares in the gun bag that they left from the guns from last time, and they don't have it. Okay, now, this is where the mechanics of this level, or this campaign, shine. I want to point something out here. This is the most unique mechanic in the entire campaign list. You are going to be coming back here later on. Yes, I know, very crazy. You kind of don't really do that in these types of games. But you are going to be coming back to where you started. So, anything that you leave into the safe room here in the first level will be here during the finale, meaning you can either have a really easy finale or a really hard finale if you decide to waste everything up in the safe room. If you do that when you first start off, I think you need to be studied. I'm going to be real with you. So, with that mechanic out of the way, our characters get out of the burger tank. There's a sign that says that there is no gas available here, and that the only gas available is across town past the sugar mill at another gas station. So our characters decide, hey, let's just run over there and, you know, grab the gas. It should be one and done. Remembering landmarks along the way and making their way towards the sugar mill, which is a huge sugar mill, by the way. This is like a commercial one. The unique uncommon infected in this map is the construction zombie. These guys are actually a pretty cool concept and make kind of sense. I mean, there's a lot of construction going on around here, and there's a factory nearby, so it would kind of make more sense for them to have, well, their kind of construction uniforms. The unique part of it isn't their style or their easily visible vests. It is actually the fact that they are not distracted by pipe bombs or boomer bile because they have headphones on. That is actually a really nice detail. I mean, they aren't, you know, they have autism. Nice. That's probably gonna give me a lot of flack, but fuck it, let's keep it in. Keep that in. So, our characters make it into the sugar mill with the first safe room, and level 2 begins with our characters heading through the sugar mill, with the rain starting to pick up a lot more. I was afraid of this level, alright? I didn't really like, I was afraid of it, okay? The sugar mill has a ton of witches in it. Now, I don't remember the exact reason why there is a ton of witches, but all you gotta know is that witches are everywhere in the sugar mill. Not everybody's going to come after you, but you do get an achievement if you don't trigger any witches during this event. But regardless, you make your way through the sugar mill to the other side where the gas station is. It's cut off between a giant sugar field and you. You must make your way through the sugar field, but you can't just jump off. So you take the elevator down, which triggers a panic event. This allows you to go through the sugar field and to the gas station where your characters get the gas. Now comes the main mechanic of Hard Rain that isn't just the, well, leave everything on the way back kind of thing. And that is
the storm. There is a hurricane moving through Ducatel, Mississippi, and you are in the middle of it. When the rain picks up and the thunder starts to go, you will not be able to see the outlines of your characters, and you must stick close together. This could either be really just kind of whatever, or really intense in the higher difficulties. Not being able to see where your heroes are and just having them get grabbed by jockeys, smokers, hunters, it can really result in a few deaths. I've had it result in a few deaths in my time. But this is kind of where I don't really have that much to talk about. Imagine going back through the levels, but it's a rainy ass time, with the rain sometimes triggering and blinding your vision. That goes for the same one as well, the same kind of, Milltown. You can go through it again, but this time it's flooded. Your best bet is to stay on the rooftops away from the knee-deep water so you can move through it fast. If you don't, you move through it slow. After you get to the safe house in the 4th level, you need a way to signal Virgil. You don't have the flares in your gun bag, but you make do. With Ellis, or even somebody else, it could be really anybody in this. I don't even know why I had to specify Ellis. Fuck you, Ellis. Suggests that they could turn on the Burgertown sign at the spawn room to trigger Virgil senses. He's a superhero, guys. He's a talking boat. He's the talking boat. So you turn on the sign, hold out until Virgil gets there, all the while dealing with storms, tanks, special infected everywhere. It's a fucking blast. And you just get on the boat and head over to the last campaign of the game. But before that, let's talk about the rating. You see, I may be biased as fuck considering this is my favorite campaign of all time, but Hard Rain is a unique, tough experience that can just really put everybody on edge, and it encourages you to work together. That's why, in the spirit of a co-op shooter, may I add, I am going to give Hard Rain a 5 out of 5. I love this map. There's nothing more than I love than, God, where do I even begin? Just everything. Running through towns that are flooded, seeing areas where people used to work, dealing with witches, sticking together as a team, and making sure everybody makes it out alive makes this campaign so much fun. So much fun. At least it's better than Swamp Ass Fever over there. But we still got 2 more campaigns to go. We got, well, this next one, which is actually the darkest campaign in the entire game, the Parish. Looks like our crew finally made it to where they want to go. Let's see how that ended for them.
Ending our main story of Left 4 Dead 2, our crew arrives in the city of New Orleans thanks to Virgil the talking boat. Our crew has been through hell and back to get to this city to have a mere chance to make it to the military, and now is the crowning and definement moment of this game. How will this story end? But our campaign starts off on the waterfront district where Virgil tells our crew that they can make it to the bridge if they walk, and states he's off to help other survivors. Goodbye, Virgil. You are the coolest talking boat I've ever known. So, our crew makes their trek over to the bridge, greeted by jets flying overhead and hordes of the infected. The jets mean the military must be here at the very least, but obviously this section of the city has been overrun, leaving only the infected and the new uncommon infected of the Parish, the riot zombie. Cladded in full bulletproof armor, these infected can be a challenge to take down if you're being swarmed, as the only way to kill them is to shove them and hit them in the back. Anyway, our crew makes it through the waterfront district to the safe room. This is where the campaign has dark implications. You see, wall writings are a common theme in Left 4 Dead and are used as a method of storytelling in the world around the player. Environmental storytelling. Yes, I love this kind of storytelling. Usually it's mundane stuff like a goodbye message or informing others of locations or your mom's phone number, but this one is different. It talks about how survivors are being escorted away off evac sites and possibly executed, with the only one specifying and giving a hint that they're carriers. This is a bad omen, as it seems most people who make it out to the military's embrace are just shipped off and who knows what. Our crew makes it through several areas, including a park, ultimately making it to a trailer belonging to Sita. The ground littered with bodies, which is a common sight in Left 4 Dead, but these aren't infected, they're human bodies, and they're shot in the head, in the body. It doesn't matter, they're dead. And it seems the military are sorting these people out and shooting the ones that seem undesirable. Could these be carriers? Well, yes, they are. Remember how I said in Dark Carnival to remember the burning bodies in the pool? Well, that could be carriers too. But opening the door to the evac site triggers a panic event in which he must run to the tower and turn off an alarm. This opens the door to the bus depot and you must run to the safe room. In the safe room, there are a few well, not a few. There are more human bodies that are shot and killed. Nick comments about how they were shooting people, and the survivors shame him for being right. We make our way through the underpass in an attempt to make it to the freeway to get onto the bridge. Going through a small suburb, but beyond that is a scene that sets a grim tone for the fate of the city. After you drop down onto a trailer, you see burnt houses, but something else is there. A downed chopper that is still burning. Zombies didn't take down this chopper. This was a result of either an uprising in the city or civil unrest. And in one of the houses lies a tally mark with 2 categories, human and zombies. It seems the people in the city turned against each other in the end, as I said earlier. But our crew drops into a local sewer and finds themselves in an impound lot filled with car alarms. They make it onto the bridge and only have it blown up right in front of them. The luck that these people have, I swear to God. And it's not just like oh, we'll go around. No, the entire fucking freeway blows up. The military is staging a retreat back to the bridge and are bombing the city, meaning if they want to go with them, they gotta hurry to the bridge. They cut through the cemetery over to the French Quarter in level 4. More and more writings confirm the ultimate fate of the city, with people going out and killing carriers, arming themselves, and not being too trustworthy of the military. As they make their way through the bars and alleyways of the French Quarter, they find themselves at a parade float that they have to activate to get across. After a few more streets, they make their way to the bridge. Yikes. I don't want to know what happens next, but this is the crescendo of the story, the ultimate deciding moment on our character's fate. As they make their way onto the bridge, the military on the radio contacts them, and they are briefed by the military on the situation that's at hand. They're at the west end of the bridge, and they have to make it to the east end. But they ask one question that should be a red flag after all they've seen. I don't know, maybe they're just kind of expecting it. I mean, they have really no other plan, but they ask the survivors if they are immune. After the survivors say yes, the man on the other end asks the chopper that's supposed to evac you, are you equipped for carriers? Confirmation comes in, and the crew must lower the bridge and run across it to the other side. This is the finale of the Parish, and it's easily one of my favorite ones in the series. It's a mad sprint to the other side of the bridge, with going across other tops of cars and climbing ladders and dealing with hordes. Gives such a rush and a certain sense of urgency that most campaigns fail to do. At least I have the experience. I mean, some finales are just holding out, some of them are doing objectives, but this one is just run. And on the other side of the bridge lies the chopper that the crew is supposed to be picked up by. The crew gets inside only to see the bridge get blown up in the distance by the jets. It seems that they made it just in time, thankfully. And that's all we've ever heard from our crew in the end. No epilogue or ending comic. We do not know the fate of them. However, it seems pretty grim to say the least, at least from the hints that we've gotten. If you want my opinion on what I think happened, I think they were brought to a military base and executed, or they were used to develop a cure, except there was no cure. We really don't know. I mean, Left 4 Dead 1, literally, they got to a military base after Blood Harvest and were told to leave because they were going to get executed. Carriers carry the infection with them, so everywhere these people would go, they would infect people, which is grim to say the least. I mean, I don't blame them for killing them, but it seems that the Parish is the ultimate factor of just civil unrest, and, well, who can you trust? And that's why the Parish is getting another 5 out of 5 in the no meter. For its amazing level design, this is some of the most fun I've ever had in Left 4 Dead. This is a perfect campaign that if you just want to play a campaign game solo, this is the one I would do. The franchise never really touched on civil unrest until this campaign, and they nailed it with the Parish. Its dark themes and subtle nods to the fate of our crew makes it a joy to play if you're a story buff like me. And we still have one campaign to go before we get into the game modes and improvements, so let's just get this over with my least favorite campaign ever in Left 4 Dead. I swear to God, I hate this campaign, and a lot of people do. And that's Coldstream.
Coldstream, my least favorite campaign ever added to Left 4 Dead. I want to make one thing clear about this campaign. None of it matters. None of it's relevant to the narrative Valve has written for Left 4 Dead 2. No. Instead, this was a bonus campaign designed just to be that, a bonus campaign. It's not unique in any way, especially because every level is just the same. Like, visually, it's the same. It's just streams and rivers. The only unique thing that is about this campaign is that every level ends with its own crescendo event, meaning a panic event, meaning you gotta run over to the safe room. Normally, I'd go over every single level in detail and the story of this campaign, but There is none. All it is just the crew with the same old voice lines from several campaigns before this one to get rescued by the same chopper that was used in No Mercy, and it has no significance to the campaign. It's just rivers and forests with awful level design sprinkled in there in between, and it just feels so fucking lazy. There's no unique uncommon infected. There's nothing. The only two uncommon infected in this are the Mudmen and the Riot Zombies, which I just don't like it. It just feels so lazy. Hell, I don't even want to give it a 1 out of 5, so it just gets a 0. Harsh considering this is a bonus map, but what the fuck do you want me to talk about here, alright? It's literally just running. There's no, like, unique level design besides you just going down fucking rivers and along rivers. That's all you do. And I was originally going to talk about every single level, but then I thought, hang on. There's no indication on why we're heading this way in the first place, alright? I know it sounds crazy, but literally nothing is told to you during this fucking campaign. It is just, hey, go in a certain direction, get to the safe room, yada yada yada. That's not enough for me to talk about. So this gets no gnomes. But let's just move on before I get too pissed off at this campaign. And what's that I hear? You guys asking? Aren't you forgetting? Yes, I am, but for good reason. It's a great campaign with only 2 levels, a monument in community and developer collaboration, and overall a great campaign. There, I talked about it. No, I'm just kidding. So, The Last Stand is pretty good. I like the junkyard and I like the kind of things that they, do here, but there isn't much for me to talk about in this campaign because it's just another bonus campaign that plays reference to the Last Stand survival map in Left 4 Dead 1, which I talked about in the last video, so check it out. But let's just move on to the game modes, gameplay, and improvements here.
Starting off our discussion on the gameplay, game modes, and improvements is as simple as this. Take Left 4 Dead 1 and there you go, that's the same gameplay as the first game, but the improvements are really where it's at with this game. A whole new cast of special infected and weapons to go alongside them. Who would have thought that a sequel would have had this much content? I sure wouldn't have. That's sarcasm, by the way. Starting off our special infected list is the Charger. The Charger is one of the fan favorite special infected in the series at the moment. Being an infected who is perfect for high-rise maps and separating survivors from each other. The Charger's ability is pretty simple. Just like a fat kid at Krispy Kreme's, just run through a crowd of people and send them flying, and pin one survivor down, doing massive damage to the survivor inflicted with the one that you hit. Just simple special infected stuff. You can straight up kill people with this ability on versus, and it can be unpredictable at times. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to autism and height is the Jockey. The Jockey is similar to Charger in terms of separating survivors, but the catch is with the Jockey is that you can control and steer the survivors in the direction you want to go. This is deadly with things like the Smoker, or the last special infected added by the game is the Spitter. The Spitter, well, spits, and it's by far the most strategic of the 3, as the Spit has bullet drop in the air and can be hard to aim unless you're an ace spitter and not a quitter. The Payout is the most damaging special infected attack in the entire game, leaving a huge pool of acid that does more damage the longer the survivor stands in it. Perfect for when other infected pin survivors in it or lead them into it. And that's pretty much it for the special infected in the game that are new with Left 4 Dead 2. While I would love to list off every single special gun added by the game, let's just go over some of my favorites here. You've got the SPAS 12, the Spylance SMG, the SCAR H, the SG-552, the AWP, and the AK-47. And the newest line of special weapons, the M60 and the grenade launcher. The catch with these ones though is that you cannot refill its ammo, but you can use ammo boxes on them, being frag and incendiary rounds, a new addition to Left 4 Dead 2 as well. But the biggest addition, however, isn't the scavenge game mode that nobody plays, or the weapons. No, instead it's the mutation game modes. These are unique and fun game modes that are a blast to play with your friends and provide unique challenges. And while I'd love to cover every single mutation, I'll just pick my favorite one. My overall favorite one has to be for Swordsman, limiting you to only the katana, and this is an easy way to feel like a badass hacking away at hordes as you make your way through campaigns. And the introduction of the workshop for Left 4 Dead 2 on Steam was also huge and new to Left 4 Dead 2. You see, modding was possible on Left 4 Dead 1, but it had less official support from Valve at the time. But that changed, however, for Left 4 Dead 2, and let me tell you, these modders are so talented, just like every other community modder, at least in most Valve games. Like, check it out when you have the time. Just go scroll through the most popular mods ever made, popular campaigns, it doesn't matter what it is. But with all this discussion on Left 4 Dead 2 and the series as a whole, you might be wondering what's the future of the series looking like. Well, let's talk more about that. So, What's the future looking like for Left 4 Dead as a series? Well, there hasn't really been that much. You see, Left 4 Dead 3 was supposed to come out at some point. It was actually rumored to be coming out in 2017 because Chef Zeke said in 2012 that, like Valve's other games, a sequel had not been ruled out at the time. And rumors from 2013 through 2016 led players to believe that Valve was developing Left 4 Dead 3 with a target release date in 2017. It is now 2025. I don't think it's going to be coming out. Tyler McVicker of Valve News Network reported that Left 4 Dead 3 had been in development at some point in Valve, and had been subsequently canceled a few years earlier. You see, this was confirmed by Valve as well. It showed a level comparable to assets used in CSGO at the time and indicated that very little other work appeared to be done on the title. Left 4 Dead 3 was canceled around 2017, describing it as an open world game set in Morocco where the player fights hundreds of zombies. It was supposed to be on the Source 2 engine, and it was shelved due to the slow development of the engine itself. It also couldn't handle it. There was a few concept art images that leaked, and Valve eventually confirmed that the game was supposed to come out at some time. But, well, they just couldn't really do it. They don't want to do it. It doesn't seem like Valve wants to make any other games. I mean, sure, they made Deadlock, but Left 4 Dead 3 is just sort of in the back burner, and I don't think he'll ever come out. But this game was a bit ambitious, and, well, there's a few other things that Valve decided to do besides make a third game. Weirdly enough, there was a Left 4 Dead arcade machine in Japan called Left 4 Dead Survivors. It was released on December 10th, 2014 for Japanese arcades by the Japanese company Taito. The game features the same scenarios and locations as Left 4 Dead 2, but features a different cast of survivors unique to this edition. However, there wasn't really that much. I mean, besides that, that's pretty much all we got. Oh, and, well, the latest update in September 2020. But other than that, the series future for this game is just not looking very good, you know? It's just, as sad as it is, maybe Left 4 Dead is just going to be a dead series forever. Not even pun intended. It just doesn't seem like Valve wants to make games like these anymore. The potential is out there, but just nothing can be done. And as much as I really like doing these videos on this game, it'll always be I'll always remember it. I'm sorry if I'm stumbling, I will always remember this game. And while I would love a third game, it seems that we're never going to get one. Oh, but we got Back 4 Blood. Oh yeah, Back 4 Blood. And, well, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry if we kind of just, you know, disappeared for a year, but it's just stuff happens, right? And I'll be honest, we're gonna get back into it. We're back, bitches. We're back. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.